Okay, let's jump right into it. This is another one of those videos where there was no plan going into it. This will be my second attempt at this type of video, actually, but what we recon now do. Today is take a look at this old tree, and I want to see what you can come up with for its design. Obviously, it's not just any old tree, it's an ancient one. It's been around for a very long time. We can see this from the thick, gnarly, and rugged trunk here. And it's standing all alone. There's no other trees like it around. It's completely by itself. We can also see how the bark has kind of flaked off the bottom here, and then just the way the roots are coming out. It looks like they're really trying to hold onto the hill there. The ground is probably washing away or sliding away over time, and the roots are working over time to try and keep it in place. So yeah, this is a pretty crazy tree. Now, this is an interesting one because this bonsai was actually featured in one of our favorite movies of all time. You may have seen it if you watched our Moon over the AliExpress bonsai video. But when we go back and look at some of the shots in the movie with the bonsai, there's a couple different things going on. First of all, it's in a totally different pot. And I love the way this tree looked in this big, rustic, shallow pot. It just felt right. And also, even though we have the same branches, basically, well, I guess we didn't know that these are the same exact branches because this one was chopped down. But we have something similar going on here. We've got a much more upright branch and then a horizontal branch that's going on here. And so we're going to take the design from the movie and apply it to our tree. Now, I think a good starting point would be to take some of the cuttings that we took before and now start to work them into the design. So we'll take this branch that we already have, which is a horizontal branch. This is going to be our main horizontal branch. And then we can take some of the smaller branches that we took off of the tree and add them to the inside here, fill in the canopy just a little bit more. If you remember, we did something similar to this with the Korean pine, the one that we made the raking white bonsai with. And what we ended up with there was a nice, full, compact tree. Well, we're going for something totally opposite here. We're going for something that's really sparse, that has a lot of open space within the branches. And it's really all about negative space with this one. So yeah, we're going to be taking out a lot of the branches that we put on there and just getting rid of a lot of them altogether. But it's always nice to start with something. I always say it's better to start with too much material and then slowly whittle it down until you get to what you want. Than it is to start with too little material and then try to bulk it up and add more stuff. So we'll work with what we have here. So what I meant to do is take the two largest branches that we cut off of the tree. These are the two biggest ones here. Now, what I want to do is take the angle that they were growing at and try to match that with the angle that we have here on this tree. I want everything to be uniform. I want to make sure that we're keeping a consistent look throughout the entire tree. And so that means taking the branches that they already got on here and making sure that they have the same angle as those two large branches. The ones that we just put on here. And what we've ended up with is a very, very simple design. And honestly, it still feels a little bit bare. I feel like we could probably put one more branch in here and that would fill in the silhouette nicely. But there's not a whole lot else we can do. With the style, it's supposed to be simple. It's supposed to be stark. It's supposed to be a tree that's just barely holding on, just barely clinging to life, you might say. And so we want to make sure that we're going for something that's very, very simple and very natural looking. Now, one of the things that I really liked about the original tree was the way that it had grown over itself. You can see how it's just kind of grown over this branch here. And what we can do is try to incorporate that into our new design. So we'll take one of the branches that we have here and we'll bury it in the soil, and then we'll take the trunk of the tree, which has this nice growth habit to it, and we'll tuck it underneath the branches and just kind of grow it underneath there. And that will help fill out the design a little bit more. Now, this is the kind of style that can be really fun to play with because there is not a lot of rules to it. You can kind of do whatever you want with the branches. Sometimes people will even take wire and bend the branches to make it look like the branches are growing through each other. They're crossing over each other. They're doing some pretty crazy stuff, but again, it's all about negative space with this one. We want to make sure that we leave a lot of room between the branches so that it looks like this tree is just hanging on by a thread, and that's exactly what we're going for here. Now it's time to move on to styling the roots. This is another thing that I liked about the original tree. The roots were just coming out everywhere. They were going all directions. They weren't confined to anything. And so that's the look that we're going for here. We want to make sure that we have a nice, wild, unruly root system. To do this, I'm just gonna take the roots that we have and I'm just gonna kind of spread them out. I'm not gonna worry about making sure they're totally perfect and correct. I'm not gonna worry about making sure that they were exactly the same size as they were before. I'm just gonna kind of do my best to make them look as natural as possible. Honestly, I feel like it looks great the way it is. I think we're done here. I think we're ready to put this one in the pot and see how it looks. Okay, so we got the tree planted in the pot, and I think it looks amazing. It looks exactly like I wanted it to look. It's got a nice, wild, unruly root system, and the branches are just kind of coming out at all different angles. It looks like it's just barely holding on. Like I said, it's just barely clinging to life, and that's the look that we were going for. But there's something else that we need to do. We need to age this tree. This is an ancient tree that's been here for hundreds of years. And so we need to make sure that we give it some age. So I'm going to take a look at the tree and see if I can find some places where I can add some moss to it. Okay, so I found a few spots here where I can add some moss. I'm going to try to add a little bit around the base of the tree here. Maybe I can add a little bit on this branch here. And then, of course, we're going to add some to the trunk of the tree. And so that's what we're going to do. We just gonna take some moss and we gonna kind of glue it on there with some liquid latex. And yeah, we're gonna add a little bit to the base of the tree. Again, on the branches. Let's see if we can kind of hide some of the wire and the moss here. Yeah, and then of course, we gonna add some to the trunk of the tree, and it should look pretty cool once we're redone. Alright, so after adding the moss, I think this looks awesome. It looks so aged and so natural. It really feels like this is a tree that has been here for hundreds of years, and it's just barely hanging on. So yeah, I love the way this one turned out. What do you think? Leave me a comment below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. That helps me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.